Shalom Aleichem, Mishpachim. I am coming to you with a continuation of the Sefer, of reading a Sefer, of Crossing the Narrow Bridge by Rabbi Nachman, not Rabbi Nachman or Breslov. I'm going to finish chapter 1, and I'm going to finish it right now. We are in the title of Stringencies, and let us begin. Extremism in any form is totally unnecessary. Rabbi Nachman teaches, of those who are overly strict in serving God, it is written, "You shall live and not die by them." Such people have no life. They are constantly depressed because they never ever feel they've fulfilled their obligations while performing the mitzvot. Because of their stringencies, they don't experience any vitality, any life from their deeds. One doesn't have to be a rabbi or even a lay scholar to be stringent. An ignoramus can also say it is forbidden. On the contrary, just as it is forbidden to permit the forbidden, it is just as forbidden to forbid the permitted. The Rebbe's intention was to bring each mitzvah, no matter how exalted, within our reach. With simplicity, we can always feel that we, too, can perform the mitzvah. With straightforwardness, we, too, can fulfill it and be filled with life by it. Nevertheless, there are certain instances where keeping the law stringently is valued. In this regard, the Talmud teaches, Rabbi Yosef asked Rabbah's son, "In what observance was your father most stringent?" Each Talmudic sage had a particular mitzvah which he practiced exactly and according to all of its rigorous details. With this in mind, the Rebbe advised that every person choose one observance and keep it very strictly, with all its fine points. And even with this observance, you need not be exceedingly strict to the point of foolishness. Keep one commandment strictly, but the others need not be observed with any unnecessary stringencies. If only we would be worthy of keeping all of the Torah's commandments simply, without any excesses. Reb Dov of ch.1, one of the Rebbe's followers, wanted to perform one of the more difficult practices in serving God. He wanted to wake up for Tikkun Chatzot, the midnight prayers. The problem was that whenever he did this, the lack of sleep would cause Reb Dov severe headaches. And informed of this, the Rebbe told him, "Sleep and eat. Just heed the time." Afterwards, he advised Reb Dov that his chatzot should not be at midnight, but at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then there was another of Rebbe Nachman's Hasidim, Reb Naphtali, whom the Rebbe counseled to be especially careful in the mitzvah tzitzit. Once Reb Naphtali climbed a ladder to attend to some repairs, and his tzitzit tore. Reb Naphtali refused to move until someone had brought him a kosher pair. Afterwards, he never went anywhere without having a spare tzitzit with him. This law is mentioned in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. One should never travel without spare tzitzit. Thus, if one string should tear, he won't be left unable to perform this mitzvah. Thus, two stories show us Rabbi Nachman's approach when advising his disciples concerning stringencies. Reb Dov very much wanted to fulfill the mitzvah of chatzot by rising at midnight. Even so, the Rebbe warned him that it was not to be at the expense of his health. Yet, when it came to Reb Naphtali's special mitzvah, the Rebbe suggested he be exceedingly careful, and that he was. I'm also reminded of what my Rosh Yeshiva would say. Why is it that people always choose to be stringent in those areas where others can find out about it? Wouldn't it be far better to be strict with oneself in such matters as slander, additional Torah study, greater concentration in prayer? Shortly before Reb Nosson passed away, he gave a very deep sigh. When asked the reason for this, he replied, "It occurs to me that perhaps I have not properly fulfilled what Rabbi Nachman taught." The people standing around him were amazed. If not you, then who can honestly say that he has fulfilled the Rebbe's teachings? As to fulfilling the Rebbe's advice, Reb Nosson answered, "I did what I could. The question is, have I fulfilled the teachings with the simplicity that the Rebbe demanded of us? On to the next one. God is one. Simplicity is the highest possible virtue, since God is certainly higher than everything, and yet he is ultimately simple. The deeds of the Mighty One are simple. Rabbi Nachman teaches, creation has many parts, yet all the various parts of creation emanate from God. He is one. He is simple. Our mission in this world is to reveal the unity from amongst the many. That is, from all of us, from all our differing thoughts, perspectives, deeds, backgrounds, etc., we still come to recognize the one God. This is not as complicated as may appear at first glance. Remember that everything emanates from one source, the one source. Therefore, in our own ways and with our specific differences, each of us reflects that source. By extension, there is actually no reason to view life in so complicated a manner as most people do. In reality, everything has its root in the unity of the one and simple God. Differences emerge because he manifests himself to each of us differently. What we have to do is look for God everywhere, in everything. Then we will see that whatever appears complex and diverse is in truth very simple and singular. What appears separate is actually united. What appears fragmented is genuinely whole. What appears to require great sophistication only needs the utmost simplicity. At the same time, Rabbi Nachman understood that relatively few ever succeed in revealing the unity from amongst the many, and that those who can do so consistently are even rarer. Most of us have a great deal of difficulty just keeping our own lives simple. The Rebbe was able to appreciate our struggles with the diversities of this world and understood the complexities we face. By the same token, he also realized that most people tend to complicate matters far beyond reason. We fret away our days and years, anticipating and contemplating difficulties and problems that we assume are on the way. We set goals, material as well as spiritual, and then tie ourselves in knots over presumed setbacks. We plan having a good time, and then fret that that, and the next thing will go wrong. We spend time worrying about things that may never happen. Anxiety. Nobody denies that difficult moments can and do come, but we also have no idea how they will affect our lives. Whereas keeping the perspective itself simple solves many of life's most difficult problems. This is why the Rebbe emphasizes simplicity so much. If we took things as they are, one day at a time, we could lead a much simpler life, and a much simpler and happier way of life. The sophisticate and the simpleton. One of Rabbi Nachman's most memorable stories from his classic work, Rabbi Nachman's Stories, is The Sophisticate and the Simpleton. In the story, the simpleton has very little formal education and is very limited in his abilities. He sews triangular shoes for a living, has nothing but bread and water for sustenance, and is so poor that he must share a tattered sheepskin coat with his wife. And yet, for him, this coat serves as exquisite finery for every occasion. His daily rations taste like the finest wines and delicacies. Although, with his limited skills, the simpleton earns far less than his fellow shoemakers. His self-confidence and joy are such that he feels absolutely no jealousy or want. "Why must we speak about others?" he tells his wife when she criticizes his inability to charge as much as others for his work. "What do I care about that? That is their work, and this is my work." And when some of the townspeople would engage him in conversations so that they could make fun of him, the simpleton had but one request, just without mockery. If they assured him of their sincerity, he would never probe their motives more deeply. Being a simple person, he never engaged in the sophisticated speculation that would suggest that this in itself might be a means of mocking him. Indeed, the simpleton never questions or tries to second-guess anything. He just conducts himself simply and honestly. feeling only a great deal of satisfaction with his lot. No matter what happens, he is always very happy. Because of his simplicity, he never feels any lack. And due to his simplicity, he eventually becomes the prime minister of the land, becoming even wiser than his friend, the sophisticate. Now, the sophisticate, on the other hand, has advanced education and training. He is truly a man of the world. He has experience in commerce, craftsmanship, and even medicine, and has broadened his outlook through travel. Despite all this, the sophisticate is never satisfied with what he has. He is always looking for something better over the horizon. He is also very exacting and very stringent in everything he does. When his work as a master goldsmith is not appreciated by others, he feels rejected. Yet, when minute imperfections in his diamond engraving go unnoticed, he chastises himself for what he sees as his flawed skills. In contrast to the simpleton, the sophisticate needs public approval, and when his expertise as a physician goes unrecognized, he rejects this profession as well. Furthermore, because his strict standards allow for no flexibility, it is impossible for him to appreciate the work of others. His clothing, his accommodations, his life have to be just so, or else he is upset and becomes depressed. He is unable to appreciate simplicity or the simple way of life. In fact, he has no life. The sophisticate's lack of self-confidence does not allow him to speak with those whom he considers his inferiors, because this would tend to reduce his own status. Something he feels he must protect at any cost. As a result, he can unburden himself to no one, and is, therefore, always miserable. His sophistication not only makes him arrogant, but also skeptical and unable to trust anyone, never satisfied with the obvious meaning of things. He always probes and analyzes for the true meaning. This often leads him to wrong conclusions and eventually causes him to lose both his stature and wisdom. Reb Nachman of ch.1, one of Reb Noson's students, writes, "The Rebbe told this story in order to instill in us the importance of simplicity. Whoever follows his path of simplicity will live a very good life, a joyous and content life. One of the greatest blessings a person can have is the knowledge that in any given situation in life, he did his best. God did not create us to be angels, only human. We have our daily ups and downs and are subject to variations in mood, feelings, and desires. It is irrelevant whether these changes result from internal or external pressures. We are subject to them. Because of this, Rabbi Nachman teaches, keep it simple. Do not expect every day to be the same. Do not expect perfection, even from yourself. Do what you can, when you can. This way you remain flexible enough to adapt to any situation. This is the simpleton. He lives in the present, never fretting over past memories or future expectations. He has the confidence to believe that whatever comes his way, he will always do the best he can. This may explain why the same word, tamim, is used for simplicity and wholeness. If a person is really whole, then he has enough self-confidence to be simple. He doesn't find it necessary to impress others with his sophistication. In addition, the simple person, like the simpleton, is always happy because of his simple approach. The sophisticate, however, is constantly worried. He frets about the future and despairs over what others think. Will my means of livelihood last forever? Is this fashion and style acceptable in good company? What will others say of me should they discover my work has imperfections? These insecurities demand that he put on an air of sophistication, and occasionally even deception. Due to all this anxiety, his busy and complex life brings him only misery and discomfort. Rabbi Nachman teaches, were it true that cleverness and wisdoms are required for serving Hashem, how could the simple folk, those who do not have great intellect, be expected to serve God? Use only simplicity in serving Him, simple fear of heaven, simple fulfillment of mitzvot and good deeds. Do not complicate matters. This only leads one to deviate from the truth. Above all else, keep it simple. Simplicity, especially in these modern, sophisticated times, is a rare and very great blessing, as Rabbi Nachman teaches. There will come a time when a simple religious man will be as rare and unique as the Baal Shem Tov. All right. Wow. So many breaking, really really nice teachings on simplicity. Really, they are wonderful. Very nice. Like I said, and like Rabbi Nachman says, you don't want to complicate things. No more complications. No more, just honestly, bring all the complication down to simplicity. It's just go to a quiet place and think about every situation in your life that happens, that are continuous. Your work, your Torah study, your interactions with people, your own midot, your character, your flaws, your whatever, your good character traits, whatever it may be, whatever you're trying to do with your life. Make it simple. Simplicity doesn't necessarily mean dull-witted or foolish or stupid. Simplicity is in fact an intelligent way to look at things, a very intelligent, intellectual way to look at things. So remember, do what Rabbi Nachman teaches, and find your simplicity in your life that God gave you. This God-given life, find your simplicity. I'll leave it at that. All right. Watch this video over and over again. Watch this reading. Listen to this reading that I just read. And let this be a reminder. Don't complicate things. All right. Laila Tov. Mishpachim.